G'day everyone, welcome to another installment of Guvs Hero Review videos. Today we are going to be continuing with our Hunter series to looking at the 5-star legendary blue hero, Torrent, the Deep Sea Demolisher. So Torrent is available for summons, as we saw from the Monster Island portal, which rolls around every 8 weeks. The portal itself doesn't have the greatest odds of all time. There is only a 1.2% chance of getting a event hero. There are no featured heroes, meaning that the odds do drop off significantly when you're trying to chase after a specific hero. So putting it into perspective, if you were to do 100 summons in this portal, you would have a 70% probability of getting any of the legendary heroes from the event. If you were chasing after a specific hero, say for example Torrent, you would have only a 13.9% probability in those 100 summons of getting that specific hero. So yeah, not the greatest odds when you're chasing a specific hero. Yeah, just something to bear in mind. Torrent was added to the game a fair whack of time after the original release of the Monster Island event. Originally there were only 5 legendary heroes put in the game. Torrent was added about a year after that, alongside Magma and Marrow in March 2023. His artwork, if I just flip over to it real quick, so it looks like it's drawn a lot of inspiration almost from the Bioshock video game series, in terms of that exosuit and the pointy weapon on the arm. So in Bioshock, it's the drill thing, whereas in Torrent's case here, he looks like he's got a torpedo. Not really sure. I assume this is another torpedo warhead on his back. But yeah, he's sort of got those that deep sea monster that he's sort of deboned and chucked the jewels around his arm. So yeah, looks to be a pretty strong boy, realistically, if he's carrying a torpedo on his arm and then another one on his back. But yeah, that's his artwork. Pause it if you so choose. Thank you to Sarge Lopez for passing this one along. Yeah, let's continue on having a look at his card. So he is a member of the Hunter family, or the Monster Hunter family, which means that he... Alright, a little bit confusing here. But we're going to skip over that first bit there because it's not overly relevant immediately. So there is a... No, sorry. Far out. I should rephrase that. So there is a bonus for when you have 2, 3, 4, or 5 unique heroes of the Hunter family in a battle, and that is a bonus for plus 10, 15, 20, or 25% healing. So it does have to be unique, so it can't be 2 copies of Torrent. It's got to be 2 different heroes, like combining Torrent with Marrow or Torrent with Barbie, for example. I do find this to be one of the weaker family bonuses. It does only increase healing received, and there's one healer in the Hunter family, which is Barbie. So there's not really much synergy in that at all. I personally feel that the passive should have had something to do with the Fiends, seeing as that's what the Hunter family really has. But yeah. The Hunter family will also gain a bonus when they are used during the Monster Island event. Specifically, they gain a 20% chance to apply a 1-turn delay and a 1-turn silence when they cast their special skill. They also gain a passive attack bonus for plus 4, 8, 12, and 16. Sorry, 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20% attack and defense bonus when you have 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 unique Hunter families in your team. Note that this only applies when you use the heroes in the Monster Island event. It doesn't apply in any other format of the game. So just bear that in mind. I see a lot of people asking questions about why the stat bonus isn't applied, and that's because it only applies when they are used specifically in the Monster Island event. It doesn't count any other time. In terms of Torrent's personal stats, he comes in with 719 attack, 726 defense, and 1,508 HP. It is fairly balanced overall. There's not really much skewing at all going on here. His charge speed is set to 47, which is average speed and requires 11 tiles to charge, or 6 ghosted tiles. The speed break does need only plus 3, which you can do using any of the speed weapons in the game, the blue speed weapons that is. Double break needs plus 11, which you can't do using weapons alone. The best weapon is the +9. However, if you do combine the +9 weapon with the class emblem node, which gains 2% charge speed at +19, it is possible, but that is obviously a lot of emblems. So there is some value to picking up the class node if you're willing to progress it that far and want that double speed break. The class itself, Torrent is a member of the Demolitions class, which grants him the chance to shell shock the enemy by removing buffs from the target whenever they deal damage. The removal of the buffs will also trigger an increase of 15% damage per buff removed and a flat improvement of 50% damage, normal damage, as well when the shell shock ability procs. So personally, I do love the Demolitions perk. It's effectively a free opportunity to dispel buffs from the enemies without needing to bring along a specific specifically a dispelling special skill. So typically for me, I'll put +1 on most of my leveled up Demolitions heroes just to at least introduce that chance for shell shock. By way of a specific emblem path, I personally would recommend going a defense HP path. So I'll just flip over to my roster real quick and I'll show you what this looks like. So the main reason to go defense and HP is to improve Torrent's overall survival. His damage output is pretty hefty on its own, but we're really wanting to activate that longevity to get even more of the charge cutting going. So what this looks like in terms of a defense and HP path is we are going to prioritize defense and HP routes. So we go defense and HP, defense and HP. We'll pick up the defense node there. Then we got defense HP, and then we got defense HP at the end. You can, as I said, pick up that last speed node down the bottom there, which does get you that double break. So, sorry, I'm just going to zoom out and scroll up a little bit so we can actually do that the whole way down. So, yeah, this is the path that I would be following. Defense, HP, and then we pick up the speed node at the end. You probably don't need the +20, but yeah. You can equally make an argument, I guess, to go for an attacking path to increase his damage output, but I personally don't see it as necessary because his damage is pretty good already. So that is what I would do by way of a emblem path for Torrent. Cool. Let's head back to the portal and we can continue having a look at his special skill. So his special skill is titled Torpedo Assault, and at 47 charge speed and level 10 skill, it will deal 350% damage to the target and nearby enemies. It will then reduce the charge of the target and nearby enemies by -35%, and then it will increase the damage the target and nearby enemies receive from turn-based status effects by 50% for 4 turns, and this last effect cannot be cleansed. So, a couple of things to have a look at there. So let's start with the damage component. It's hard to consistently calculate damage because of the variability in the inputs to that calculation. However, we can calculate is attack power, which feeds into the damage calc and is analogous to the overall output from that calc. So more attack power equals more damage. So in the case of Torrent, we can see here that his attack power is coming in at 2,517. So we get there by taking his 719 attack stat multiplied by the 350% in his skill. And then to normalize against his speed, we take that 2,517, divide by the 11 tiles to charge his skill, and we come out at 229 attack power per tile per enemy, because he does hit 3 heroes. So on that list, we can see that Torrent comes in at number 2 of the 11 DOA 3 blue hitters. So pretty good second best damage output of the 5-star blue options for DOA 3, which goes back to what I was saying, where you don't really need to give him more attack because he already comes in fairly high, and following that attack path isn't actually going to bump him above fungi beats, but it will increase his damage output. So yeah, we can see, as I said, Fungi Beats is the best at 291. Then comes Torrent and Banshee variant, very close to each other at 229 and 226. Further down, you've got ones like Ghost, Mayhem, Banshee, Lepus, and all the way down the bottom is basic old Logan at 133 attack power per tile. Yeah. Moving on from the damage, the second line of his skill, though, is where I really think Torrent shines. You know, he's already got amazing damage, but the second line is, for me, you know, I say it all the time, right? Charge control is one of the greatest things you can ever have in a battle, particularly on an attacking situation, because it really goes a long way to giving you overall battle control by knocking out the enemy team's special skills. So minus 35%, very hefty amount. It is to 3 enemies, so it is up there amongst the best charge cuts available. So yeah, very, very good. And a very good effect at controlling enemy special skills, which in turn goes a long way to increasing your team's survival, but also making the battle go quicker, because you can control enemy healers, stop them from healing. You can stop enemy damage dealers from hurting you. So yeah, it is an instant charge cut. It can be withstood by the support class effects. So yeah, just something to bear in mind when you're doing your targeting. Third and final line of the skill is the increase to damage over time ailments by 50%. There's a couple heroes with this ailment as part of their skill. I personally don't find it to be too much of an impact. It is a bit of a niche setup if you're going to be relying on a damage over time skill set. There hasn't really been a hero that really shines with DOT. So yeah, there's a couple times when there's heroes that kick out a lot of damage from turn-based effect, but I don't know. I don't see it as being a really five-eyed play kind of thing. You can do it, but it's a little bit iffy whether it's going to be effective. And I have tried it on a number of occasions. I've tried to create these teams, but yeah, it just ends up being not as good as having direct damage overall. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is for Torrent's analysis. So, you know, he's an extremely good hero. Very, very effective. Great supporting hero in terms of the charge cutting, but you've also got great damage output because he's got that huge direct damage. The most comparable hero in the game is probably comparing Torrent to Lumi. Both of them are 5-star blue heroes. Both of them are AoE 3 hitters. We saw before that Torrent is far superior in terms of the damage output. Both of them have that minus 35% charge cut. Where they sort of differ is on their speed. So, you know, Lumi's base speed comes in at 10 tiles, Torrent comes in at 11 tiles, but you can get them both down to 9 tiles, you know, if you equip that weapon and the charge bonus. So, the secondary skills, you know, Lumi's got the shock ailment and an armor debuff. Torrent's got the 50% damage increase, so kind of skews a bit better towards Lumi in terms of the secondary effects, but overall, I personally would probably pick Torrent. You know, he's got better damage, he's got better survival skills, so survivability as well with his base stats, whereas because Lumi is much more attack stat oriented. So yeah, Lumi, very good, just I think Torrent is the better option if you're wanting a DOA 3 charge control damage dealer in blue. So yeah, for Torrent's grading, this is where you get to down to the nitty gritty. So for war and raid attack situations, I'm going to give him an A-. Damage is awesome, charge control is even better. So yeah, A- grade on war and raid attacks. For war machines, I'm going to give him a B+. This is mostly on the back of that charge control. He doesn't really have too much else for a war machine attack. And similarly for eventing, I'm going to give him a B grade. Decent damage output, which you want. DOA 3 hitters is the second best option you can have for eventing beyond multi-hitting random snipe heroes. For war and raid defenses, I'm going to give him a B+. Best position is probably at flank, allowing him to have a little bit of protection behind the tank. Can charge somewhat in peace and flip that charge control 1 or 2 times in a battle. And yeah, hefty damage output as well, which is always good. In the tournament setting, so we've got a bloody battle tournament rule which has no healing. He doesn't really benefit or decrease from this tournament rule, so I'm going to give him an A- on attack and a B+ on defense for bloody battles. Buff boosters, same thing, A- for attack, B+ for defense, because he's not really doing too much. There's no added buffs, there's no added ailments. And then charged attacks, he does go from 47 speed up to 65, so I'm going to bump him a tiny bit. So he can have an A grade for charged attacks and a B+ for charge attack defense. So overall, where that comes out is it comes out with an A- for his overall attack grade and a B+ for his overall defense grade. So yeah, I do think Torrent is a very good hero. Best attribute is the charge control, followed closely by that damage output. So it means you can quite easily use him in just about any facet of the game. But the main spot he's going to shine is on your war and raid attack teams. And that really concludes the content for this review of Torrent. As always, these are just my personal opinions on these heroes. I love hearing your thoughts and feedback on them, so please do jump down to the comments section of the video and leave me a note. I'm happy to read them, and I try to respond as much as I can. If you did enjoy the video and found it to be useful, like it, subscribe to the channel and all of that, but most importantly, share the video around, because ultimately, if this content is useful for yourself, it's also going to be useful to the people you play with as well. Thank you once again for tuning in and joining me for this review. I do hope I will see you again soon, but until then, good luck, stay safe, and happy gaming. Cheers, bye!